Hello friends, welcome to episode 106 of the Shauna Stitches Podcast. I'm Shauna and this is my crafty channel where I talk about all the things that I've been working on lately. Today is March the 2nd, 2025 and it is 10:08 a.m. I still can't believe it's already March and yes, it has just been flying by so far this year. Down below, you can find links to everywhere where you can find me. That includes Instagram, Ravelry. Obviously, you're probably watching this here on YouTube. My email address, Goodreads, pretty much anywhere you might want to find me. If for some reason you can't find what you're looking for, please leave me a comment down below or send me a DM on Instagram, Ravelry, wherever. I do have show notes. I'm looking down at them. So if you see me looking away, that's what I'm looking at. Just trying to make sure I don't forget anything. I'm lost already. I have one finished object to share with you. And these are my February Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I did a new pattern, which was not only new to me, but also new on Ravelry. It is the Cozy Sweater Socks by Leah Loves to Knit, who I think it's Leah Gibson. Is that right? Yep, that's what my show notes say, Leah Gibson. I knit these on 2.25 millimeter, 9-inch circulars, but one of these was knit on magic loop, same size. They came out quite identical. I know when I mentioned I was doing that on Instagram, a lot of people said, oh my gosh, your gauge might not be the same, and mine's close enough. If it is different at all, I certainly can't tell. They go to the same spot on the blocker, they look the same size, and they fit my feet, so that's all that matters. The yarn is Desert Vista Dyeworks in the color Eeyore. I just love Eeyore, and I think this captures the colors of Eeyore really well. The pattern, if I was going to knit it again, I would knit these inside out, because if you take a close look there, these are 3/4 purling. So obviously not the stockinette foot part, but any of the patterning part, it is just a ton of purling. So I don't hate purling, but it is slightly more difficult for me to do lately. If you noticed, I'm wearing something pink on my finger here. It's not a Band-Aid. This is actually KT tape. And if you have caught some of my recent episodes or Instagram, I've been having some issues with my finger. I finally did see a hand specialist, and I will talk about that a little bit more at the end. But anyway, this was my only finished object. So let's talk about some works in progress. I am still adding at least a square a day to my Cozy Memories blanket. And just the other day, I had this squared off to 17 by 17 or 298 squares. Now it is slightly more than that. I always get lost about what side is what. Oh, now I'm really lost. Here we go. Now, where's the side I'm working on? Oh my gosh. It shouldn't be this hard to find a partial row. Oh, there it is. There it is. So this is the start of a 18 square row. I just finished this one this morning. It is square 293. I knit this on a 2.75 millimeter needle. I do 46 stitches, so 23 on each side. And I do a marker down the center, knit 2 before the marker, and slip, slip, knit after the marker. The other thing that I do that really helps with picking up, you can see, it's a little bit hard to see with those dark colors. There's a nice one there. And here's what the edge looks like before it's picked up. I slip the first stitch with yarn in front and then take it to the back, and then I knit through the back loop on the last stitch. That's in my Ravelry notes as well, and the project is linked down below. So this is way too big to show you at this point, to get the whole thing in here. But I do have a picture of what it looks like on my king size bed. I just realized I forgot to plug in my microphone, so hopefully you can hear me okay. Maybe I'll just boost up the volume a little bit in case you cannot hear me. But yes, anyway, there's a picture of the blanket on my king size bed. It's getting pretty big. Definitely not king size yet, but I don't know possibly how many squares it might take. Now I won't have this squared off again until I'm 18 by 18, which won't be until April sometime, because obviously the rows are getting longer. And in case you didn't know, I just add a side and then the top, if that makes any sense, each time. So I'm squaring it off each time. What I have been adding in here is something kind of exciting, I think. If you remember, if you watched my Advent, I got a Cuddle Bums Advent in December of 2024. And then I saw that she was doing a mini a day in 2025, which didn't start in January. It actually started in February. This is actually a sticker, but it is the inspiration photo for February. And they're all rainbow themed, which kind of seems to be Cuddle Bums things. And I'm not mad about it because I love a good rainbow. So these are the February minis. I didn't get them until I think it was February 19th or so. Obviously they have to travel all the way from the UK to me, so that takes some time. But that is the one that I did this morning. So I started here for the Cuddle Bums, and then I'm just starting at the top of each column. So I need to add this one in next. And it's just so fun to see how they're going to knit up and what they look like. And I just think they're so beautiful. Hopefully you can see that. So my March ones should be on the way to me. I know some people in the UK already got their March ones. I'm patiently waiting, and obviously I still have some there to use. I'm trying to figure out, so the minis are all 5 grams each, and I have roughly 2 grams left after knitting the square in my blanket. So I'm trying to decide what to do with those leftovers. I have a couple things going through my mind. I thought I would either make a magic knot ball and hold it double with undyed yarn and maybe do a cozy comfort throw. Excuse me. But then I thought, I mean, how many blankets do I need? How many blankets on the go do I need? But it would be kind of fun, I think, to do something like that. Same exact concept, magic knot ball with the undyed yarn, and do maybe like a flax sweater, a DK flax. I think that would be pretty and like really rainbowy, and I don't know, that's on my mind. That was an idea I just had yesterday. So obviously I haven't done anything yet, but a whole year's worth. I think I could get maybe a couple sweaters, so that could be fun. Yeah, that's it. So I do that every single morning. I knit a square in my blanket while I have a cup of coffee and I read my book. That is how I start my day, and it's just a nice, gentle, but productive way to start the day. The next thing I have to show you is a big one. It is going to be a spoiler for the Do You Yoke 2 up through Clue 6. So if for some reason you don't want to see what that sweater looks like, or anything through to Clue 6, which, by the way, Clue 7 comes out today at 4 p.m. my time. So a few hours. I'm really excited. And when I show you this, I'll tell you, I already know-ish what Clue 7 is going to be. Clue 7 is the final clue, by the way. So I'm going to show it. Look away if you don't want to see. This is Do You Yoke 2. And I just think it is so beautiful. So Clue 6 was the neckband, which is 2x2, but I adapted it to where it was a tubular bind off. And it was not hard to do, My neck did come out a bit tight though. So when I block this, I mean, it has plenty of stretch, you can see. So it doesn't feel tight, but it just kind of looks a bit tight. I do have a photo if you want to see that. I'll put that in here. But I think I would block that out a bit. Everything else about the sweater is fitting so good. I have lots of positive ease, which makes me happy. I really had to go out on a limb with this sweater with the gauge because I was not getting the designer's gauge at all. The designer knits hers on a 2.75 millimeter needle. Same needle I'm using to knit my Cozy Memories blanket, and it's quite a tight gauge, or it should be. But I have a much tighter gauge than other people, obviously. So I swatched and I knit, ended up doing a 3.25 millimeter needle, but adapted my gauge. So I really wanted a sweater to come out at about the size 2, and I'm knitting the size 3 to be a size 2, if that makes any sense. And I'm actually getting a slightly more positive ease than my math told me I would. So I'm happy with that. I just think it looks so beautiful. So the other part of Clue 6 was supposed to be adding ribbing to the bottom, but I have decided I'm going to wait until I add the sleeves because I do think that that's going to pull things up a bit, and I want to make sure that my sweater is as long as I want it. I do not do cropped. I don't like short sweaters, so that's my plan. So technically I'm behind Clue 6. I should have the bottom done. But I think I'm going to be a lot happier in the long run to wait. Isn't this just beautiful? There are mosaic colorwork sections here, and then there is stranded, more mosaic, and more stranded. So when I said I know what Clue 7 is going to be, Clue 7 is going to be sleeves because it's the final clue. We have no sleeves. So I'm going to have 2 sleeves to knit and the bottom ribbing. That's going to be a lot. They are long sleeves, I do believe. And we are going to be starting with some stranded color work because we have to finish off the motif in some way. I don't believe it's going to be a solid sleeve of, all this color work. So I'm not really sure where it's going to end because we've had people who are getting low on their contrast color and they're worried about running out. And so Zanete, who is the designer, Zanete Knits, she said that, of course, different people, different sizes, but if I remember right, it was something like 40 to 80 yards more. So that's approximately 10 to 20 grams more of the contrast color. So I don't think, I mean, maybe that would be a long colorwork sleeve. 10 grams. I don't know. It's hard to picture it because obviously this circumference of a sleeve is a lot less than the body. So far of the contrast, I've used, 120-ish grams probably. And of the white, I've used about the same, about 120 grams, I think. So this is my third 50-gram skein of the white. And so, yeah, that sounds about right. I'm very excited for that clue, and I'm excited that I'm mostly caught up. And obviously I could be caught up with the bottom band. I didn't want to have to rip it out or be unhappy with the length. Okay, trying to remember. I'm pretty certain I showed you that my WIP wheel picked an old WIP for me to work on. That was the, I'm blanking on the name, Simple Skip Socks, SKYP. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It picked those socks, and that's what the pattern looks like. It is quite easy. I really enjoy this pattern. If you will remember right, I had a short row heel in here, and I ripped that short row heel out. I had the foot actually done to about here. So I ripped back, and I actually took 10 rounds off the leg. I had a 90 row leg or 90 round leg, and I decided to take that back down to 80. So I ripped out a very good chunk, and I replaced it with a slip stitch heel flap, and I finished the first sock. So that's exciting. My old WIP that I started in June of 2018, pretty sure while we were on vacation in Mexico. The first sock is finally done, and it is done in a way that I know I'm going to like the fit. And I even cast on the second one. I didn't make it very far, but I did cast on. So that being said, I had kind of thought when I work on the old WIP that I would pick a new one each month, but I think I'm actually going to stick with this one and hope to finish it instead of putting it back in the WIP pile. So I will pick a new one when I am ready to do that. Okay. Well, I did not do any quilting in the last 3 weeks since I've talked to you, but I did finish up a skein of handspun. This is just the softest, squishiest handspun I think I have ever spun in my life. It is very nice. And that is probably because this is woolen spun. And woolen spun, if you don't know, is there's two types of spinning. There is a worsted. Of course, there's other types, but there's worsted or there's woolen. There can be semi-worsted and semi-woolen, but the two main types are woolen or worsted. And woolen means that you use not only a woolen prep, but you do a woolen spin. So for this, I made roll eggs on my blending board with, this is interesting. This is yarn. This is KC Pixel 100% wool. It is a singles wool yarn. And let's see here. Obviously I used gray. This is like a green color. But that's what the yarn looks like. So it doesn't really have a twist to it. I mean, it does have some, but you can easily untwist it. And that's what I did. I untwisted it and I laid it on my blending board and I made roll eggs, and it was really kind of a pain in the butt. But for this yarn that I got, I am just so happy. So I spun the roll eggs on my new to me wheel. It is I always forget the name. It's a Kromsky Symphony, but what kind of wheel is it? It's not a castle wheel. Anyway, you're shouting it at me. You've seen pictures. I named her Peggy Sue. So I spun this all on Peggy Sue. And you know, the nice thing about this spin was I really just let myself spin because I was doing lawn draw, which I'm not great at. I don't have a ton of practice. And so I don't know if you can see, there are definitely thick and thin spots. Like obviously that's very thick and that's quite thin. But overall, I think it's going to knit up really nice. My thought for this, I can't remember my exact yardage. It's 480 maybe. So, you know, and it wasn't even 100 grams. It's like 89 grams or something. I'm thinking about making a muscle burrow for my husband with this. I don't know when I'll cast it on, but I did not skein that up very nice. Anyway, very happy with the yarn. I definitely want to spin all the woolen style yarns now because it's just so soft and squishy. And, you know, turning something like this, a commercial unplied single into this is just, that's crazy. It does take a bit of work, but I really love it. So I think that is all the crafting. Oh no. Oh my gosh. I just forgot something huge. How could I forget this? I forgot to show you my March Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I don't know where my mind's at. So this looks kind of crazy and skinny, but this is a 2x2 ribbed leg. It's all completely ribbing. There's a better look for you. The color is Desert Vista Dyeworks Zombody Green Decomp. So she has a lot of zombie themed colors. This is one of them. Obviously it's a variegated, not a striping. And the sock pattern that I'm doing is a new one by Summerlee Knits. And I'm doing version A of the Comfort Core socks. She's got 3 different versions in the pattern. I'll pop up a photo. You can see one of them has a stockinette leg. One of them is a shorty. And then you have this one with the ribbed leg. So obviously I'm doing version A, like I said, and I am just now to the heel flap, which is a slip stitch heel flap. It's not the easiest thing to see right now because I'm not very far in. There's what the cake of yarn looks like. Kind of dark and moody. I'm trying to decide. Sometimes I feel like it looks Christmassy because it's got the red and green. And sometimes I think it looks a bit like camouflage, but anyway. I did use my DVD. It's like my whip wheel, but I have one for all my Desert Vista Dyeworks colors. That's what picked this color. So it just worked out. I'm really excited to get to the foot portion of this sock because as you saw in the picture, it has a texture along the top of the foot, and then it has a well, it's similar to the heel portion where you use slip stitches around the instep, no, the arch. It goes all the way around the foot, kind of like you see in commercial socks. That's what I watched her video on this, and she bases these after a pair of Nike socks that she had. And I am very excited to see what that's going to feel like on my foot. Hopefully with my stitch gauge and needle, a slip stitch around the arch is going to fit okay. I hope I don't need to go up a needle size because I don't plan on it, which means I won't find out until the sock is done. Never a good thing. So yes, those are my priority, as well as the Do You Yoke sweater. Okay, the next thing I have to talk to you about is books, and holy cow, did I read a ton in February. In fact, I have a calendar that shows all the days that I finished books for February. It's from an app called Bookmory, Bookmory, I believe. I have it on iPhone. I'm not sure if it's available on Android or not, but it makes this neat little calendar for you. You can see exactly what you finished. It even shows you what you rated the book. So here's a screenshot or a picture of my February Bookmory calendar. And real quickly, I'm just going to tell you the titles that I have finished in February. They're very long. If you look down in my show notes, you can see what I rated them. I have a link to my Goodreads. I do not do book reviews. I used to, but I just don't anymore. I don't take the time to do it. And I find a lot of my books I rate 4 stars, and that for me means I enjoyed the read. It wasn't the level of a 5-star, like couldn't put it down, but I enjoyed it. If it's below that, I probably really didn't enjoy it. So I don't know. It's not really a normal rating system, but that's kind of what I do. So I finished the book Mr. Whisper by Andrew Mayne, and that was my Kindle first read for February. I haven't picked one for March yet. I completely forgot about it, actually. So I gave that 3.5 stars. You know, I liked it, but the reason I gave it 3.5, not 4, was because I did not care for the ending. Like it just didn't wrap anything up. It just stopped. And I don't love that. Maybe they're going to do a second book and maybe that's why, I don't know. I finished The Late Show by Michael Connelly. I gave that 3.5 stars. I listened to that on audio through Libby, through my library, and I did not care for the narrator. That is a lot of the reason why it's not 4 stars, because I did enjoy the story, but gosh, a narrator can completely ruin a book for you. I finished The Perfect Son by Freida McFadden. That was really good. I'm trying to remember. I think that was my first Freida McFadden book. Someone recommended those to me and now I'm hooked. Now I've read so many. If you go back to that calendar for February, I think 5 of my books were Freida McFadden, which is crazy. So I gave that 4 stars. The next book I finished was The Locked Door, also by Freida McFadden. And I listened to that one on audio, and that was again through my library. This was another case of the narrator just completely ruined it. And I don't know if the same narrator reads every Freida McFadden book or if there's different ones, but I gave this one 3 stars, and I probably would have enjoyed the actual story of it more if I would have read it. The next book I finished was Do Not Disturb, also by Freida McFadden. We should just call this the Freida McFadden show because it was this month for sure. I gave that 4 stars. The next one, also by Freida McFadden, was The Wife Upstairs. I gave that 4 stars. And the last one I finished in February was The Housemaid by Freida McFadden, also 4 stars. So yes, I'm really enjoying Freida McFadden. I wish I could remember who it was. It was here on YouTube, I believe. Somebody left me a comment months ago saying, check out Freida McFadden. I think you're really going to like her. And then subsequently, Amazon had quite a lot of her books on sale. So I bought The Perfect Son, the first one. I think it was like $1.99 or $2.99, quite affordable. And I love them. It shocks me that these books are usually 350 to 450 pages, so not short, and I read them in a matter of days. And I'm not spending all day reading. For some reason, they are super fast for me to read and very enjoyable. And as I've told other people, they always have a twist. In fact, they usually have a twist on a twist on a twist. And especially with, the first one I read wasn't The Perfect Son. The first one I read would have been in January, and that was The Boyfriend, which also had twists and twists and twists. So I love the twist so much. I really wish my library had any of the print books, and they don't. I don't know how that works or why that is, but that's why I've been getting them when they're on sale on Amazon. So I am still... I shouldn't even include this anymore. I say I'm reading The Bad Weather Friend by Dean Koontz because I have not read that, I don't think, in the last 3 weeks. I have been so exhausted that when I go to bed, I don't even turn my Kindle on. I just go straight to sleep. And I'm sleeping, so it hasn't been necessary. But eventually I will finish that. And the one I'm currently reading on my Kindle during the day is another Freida McFadden. It is The Housemaid's Secret. So that is the second book in the Housemaid series, and there's 3 total. I'm liking it okay. I think I'm 65% in, and I definitely liked the first Housemaid better, but obviously I don't even know what's going to happen. We have so much book left to go. I'll tell you about it next time. So I guess now we're down to life stuff. And if you heard me earlier mention, it's been 3 weeks since I recorded. You know that I generally try to upload every other week. And I had every intention of recording and uploading last weekend. But let's see, Friday night, a week ago, not this weekend, but last weekend, I got into bed at about, I can't remember, I looked at the clock, it's either 10:04 or 10:07 p.m. And that's pretty late for me. It was a weekend, so I stayed up a bit late. We were watching some shows on TV, and I was all snuggled down, just drifted off to sleep, and my work phone gave out this horrific noise, which that means that I got a call out. And I looked at it, and oh my gosh, I did not want to go. I was so comfy cozy. I was tired, but I had to get up and get dressed and go off to work. So that was at 10:29. That went off. I got to bed just after 10, just about 10:30. My phone was very loud and obnoxious. So I went in and I had to work until about 3:30 in the morning. I got home and had to be back to work at 10 a.m. So I got a short little nap. And then I didn't have to work too long that day, luckily, but my whole weekend was blown. I came home, I went back to sleep, and then I slept that night. And all last week, I was just completely exhausted because let me tell you, when you have a disruption like that to your life, to your sleep, to everything, it just completely screws you up. So I was in no shape to record last Sunday. I make little goof ups and stuff as it is. If I had no sleep, who knows what would come out of my mouth. So yeah, luckily I don't have any, this is the only wood I have to knock on. No call outs this weekend, thank God. So hopefully it stays that way. The other thing I do have to update you on, I mentioned my KT tape on my finger. So it's been quite the saga since the end of December with a lot of pain and swelling in this joint. What day was it? The 10th? I want to say it was February 10th. I went to a hand specialist in Portland, which is the closest big city to me. I live on the Oregon coast, and it's about 2 hours or so away from me. So I went there and was able to see a specialist, which, let me just tell you, there's nothing that they did at that appointment that they couldn't have done by like Zoom or Skype or something. So that's a bit annoying. But basically she had looked at my x-ray and said that she could see, I'll point to this finger because it's not covered in tape, but right in that joint, you could see either, she said it's a bone spur or a calcification, which I'm not sure the actual difference, but they kind of react in the body the same. And so that is what was causing a lot of the pain. But she says that happens with osteoarthritis. So that is my actual diagnosis. However, I found it strange at the time. She kept asking me if there was any family history of rheumatoid arthritis or arthritis in general. And I don't have a very big family, and I was never close to grandparents or anything. So I really didn't know. But after the appointment, I talked to my mom, and she said my grandmother, her mom, had rheumatoid arthritis, and she knew it bothered her knee or knees. I'm not sure if it was one or both, and didn't mention any other parts of the body. So I guess they don't like to diagnose or do further investigation into if it's rheumatoid arthritis until it's affecting more than one joint. That being said, I haven't told the specialist this, but now I'm having pain in these two joints right here. So this middle finger and this. And what really seems to bother me the most is knitting on socks. So the way that I hold the needle, the way I used to hold it, I would really bend this finger quite a lot and I would knit like that. So now I'm having to really keep this finger more straight. But what I find is I put like a lot of pressure on these two, the ones that are hurting. They haven't swollen up or anything crazy like that. So I'm really just dealing with it. But as you see, like my productivity isn't as good as I would say it normally used to be. And I just have to take things slower and I have to take breaks. And it's frustrating as heck because I just want to knit all the things. I still have a huge stash to knit, but I just have to take it easy. The good thing is I was very honest and open with my hand specialist, and I told them that I'm a knitter. And, you know, in the back of my mind, I was worried that the fact that I am a knitter or that I do knit caused my issue in my finger. And she said, no, it wasn't caused by that, and that knitting wouldn't make it worse. That being said, I know for a fact that when I do knit, it flares it up. It makes it angry. So that's why I can't do as much and I have to stop if it really starts to get hurting. So I think while she said it wouldn't like make it physically worse, it could like as in damage it long term, kind of make it worse. It obviously reacts to it. So I just have to be careful. And although she did not recommend this KT tape, I thought I would give it a try. And I do think it's helping. I can still completely bend my finger with it on. Like I can't show you, but I can make a fist all the way. But it just adds a little bit of support. And I think it keeps me from bending it while I'm knitting, because when I'm knitting, I'm not putting enough stress on my fingers to be like really collapsing them down hard, you know? Anyway, so I'm just experimenting. She did have it's not a cast, a splint, a special splint made, which was ridiculously expensive for what it is. It's literally this molded plastic that they just cut there in the building and kind of formed around my finger. And it has a Velcro strap to hold it on. It's very much like, I feel like I could have made it myself. But anyway, I have that for like if it really flares up. And then she mentioned the next steps if it gets really bad again to where like it when it was swollen and I couldn't do anything, the option would be to do a steroid shot directly into the joint, which takes about 7 days to take effect and is supposed to last for about 6 months. So obviously not a long-term solution, but better than nothing. So I'm hoping that just doesn't happen. I'm really trying to be mindful. It feels very good to be knitting with this finger again, as in like I'm not knitting how I was with my 3 fingers and this one in the air. But sometimes I still do that if it's really hurting and I just need to give it a break. Anyway, it's a big, long saga. It kind of sucks that it's something that is never going to get better. Like I'm always going to be dealing with it. And I find things in my everyday life, depending on the pain level that day, kind of suck. Sometimes pulling up socks is hard. I was trying to pull on workout leggings the other day. That was excruciating. Sometimes tying a shoe, just like little things that you absolutely take for granted suck. And this is my life now. That's it going forward. So I don't love that. And if you're going through it, or maybe you're starting to feel pain in your fingers, I can completely feel for you, because you definitely, if you just hear someone, oh, I have arthritis in my hands or my fingers or whatnot, you don't think about how much it actually affects your everyday, every little thing life. I'm thankful that I am right-handed, and so, you know, it's mostly affecting my left hand. But even at that, it really affects things. So that's enough on that. If you have any questions, I think I've pretty much told you everything I know, but I'm happy to share my experience with you. Oh, the other thing I will say, she recommended Voltaren, which is a topical ibuprofen, and you put that on 4 times a day. I do think it does help. So yeah, I think that's really all I know about it. The only other thing I really have for news is that our weather here has been crazy, and that's not abnormal for the Oregon coast, but we have had every season in the month of February. We had about a week or so of snow, ice, freezing temperatures. Then we had over a couple days with over 1 inch of rain a day. Some days it was closer to 2 inches a day. And then we had really high winds, like 70 miles an hour. And then we had a day that was 66 degrees. Like, what is even going on? So we've just had a little bit of everything, but luckily everything's going okay here at my house. So we managed through it. And today is another beautiful day. So hopefully we are getting a little bit more into spring. Right behind my house, I call it the swamp. Technically, it's a natural wetlands. It doesn't look swampy, but you know, I don't know. That's what I like to call it. So I could hear the geese and some ducks and a woodpecker just going crazy this morning. Yeah, so I think spring is here or coming very soon. I think that's all I have to share with you today. Thank you so much for joining me and for being patient while I took a week to gather myself to get this episode recorded and uploaded. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you could take the time to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to see them down below. I will talk to you soon. Bye.